Hi everyone. So today we are going to see Ielts Cam 15 Reading Test 2 Passage 2. So it's Cam 15 Test 2 Reading Passage 2. The topic is, should we try to bring extinct species back to life? The passenger pigeon was a legendary species flying in vast numbers across North America with potentially many millions within a single flock. Their migration was one of the nature's great spectacles. Sadly, the passenger pigeon's existence came to an end on 1st September 1914 when the last living specimen died on Cincinnati Zoo. Geneticist Ben Novak is lead researcher on an ambitious project which now aims to bring the bird back to life through a process known as de-extinction. The basic premise involves using cloning technology to turn the DNA of extinct animals into a fertilized embryo, which is carried by the nearest relative still in existence. In this case, the abundant band-tailed pigeon, before being born as a living, breathing animal, passenger pigeons are one of the pioneering species in this field, but they are far from the only ones on which this cutting-edge technology is being trialed. In Australia, the thylacine, more commonly known as the Tasmanian tiger, is another extinct creature which genetic scientists are striving to bring back to life. There is no carnivore now in Tasmania that fills the niche which thylacines once occupied, explains Michael Archer of the University of New South Wales. He points out that in the decades since the thylacine went extinct, there has been a spread in a dangerously debilitating facial tumor syndrome, which threatens the existence of the Tasmanian devils. The island's other notorious resident, thylacines, would have prevented the spread because they would have killed significant numbers of Tasmanian devils. If that contagious cancer had popped up previously, it would have burned out in whatever region it started. The return of thylacines to Tasmania could help to ensure that devils are never again subjected to risk of this kind. If extinct species can be brought back to life, can humanity begin to correct the damage it has caused to the natural world over the past few millennia? The idea of de-extinction is that we can reverse this process, bringing species that no longer exist back to life, says Beth Shapiro of University of California, San Cruz Genomics Institute. I don't think that we can do this. There is no way to bring back something that is 100% identical to a species that went extinct a long time ago. A more practical approach for long extinct species is to take the DNA of the existing species as a template, ready for the insertion of strands of extinct animals' DNA to create something new, a hybrid based on the living species but which looks and or acts like the animal which died out. This complicated process and questionable outcome begs the question, what is the actual point of this technology? For us, the goal has always been replacing the extinct species with a suitable replacement, explains Novak. When it comes to breeding, band-tailed pigeons scatter and make maybe one or two nests per hectare, whereas passenger pigeons were very social and would make 10,000 or more nests in 1 hectare. Since the disappearance of this key species, ecosystems in the eastern US have suffered as the lack of disturbance caused by thousands of passenger pigeons wrecking trees and branches means there has been minimal need for regrowth. This has left forests stagnant and therefore unwelcoming to the plants animals which involve to help regenerate the forest after a disturbance. According to Novak, a hybridized band-tailed pigeon with the added nesting habits of a passenger pigeon could, in theory, re-establish that forest disturbance, thereby creating a habitat necessary for a great many other native species to thrive. Another popular candidate for this technology is the woolly mammoth. George Church, professor at Harvard Medical School and leader of the woolly mammoth revival project, has been focusing on cold resistance, the main way in which the extinct woolly mammoth and its nearest living relative, the Asian elephant differ. By pinpointing which genetic traits made it possible for mammoths to survive the icy climate of the tundra, the project goal is to return mammoths or a mammoth-like species to the area. My highest priority would be preserving the endangered ancient elephant, says Church, expanding their range to the huge ecosystem of the tundra. Necessary adaptations would include smaller ears, thicker hair, and extra insulating fat for all purpose of reducing heat loss in the tundra and all traits found in the now extinct woolly mammoth. This repopulation of the tundra and boreal forest of Eurasia, North America with large mammals could also be a useful factor in reducing carbon emissions. Elephants punch holes through snow and knock down trees, which encourages grass growth. This grass growth would reduce temperatures and mitigate emissions from melting permafrost. While the prospect of bringing extinct animals back to life might capture imaginations, it is, of course, for easier to try to save an existing species which is merely threatened with extinction. Many of the technologies that people have in mind when they think about de-extinction can be used as a form of genetic rescue, explains Shapiro. She prefers to focus the debate on how this emerging technology could be used to fully understand why various species went extinct in the first place, and therefore how we could use it to make genetic modifications which could prevent mass extinctions in the future. I would also say that's an incredible moral hazard to not do anything at all, she continues. We know that what we are doing today is not enough, and we have to be willing to take some calculated and measured risk. So, with this, we go to the questions. So, it's going to be the matching information. Which paragraph contains the information? So, to correct the letter A to F from the boxes 14 to 17 of your answer sheet. And you could see there is a note that you may use any letter more than once. So 14th question is a reference to how further disappearance of multiple species could be avoided. So again, the reference of how further disappearance of multiple species could be avoided. So these are my keywords in this question. So I go again to the passage now. So see paragraph F. So genetic rescue explains Shapiro. She prefers to focus on the debate on how, see, she prefers to focus the debate on how this emerging technology could be used to fully understand why various species went extinct in the first place. And therefore, we could use it to make genetic modifications which could prevent mass extinctions in the future. So, here make genetic modification which could prevent mass extinctions in the future is nothing but how further disappearance of multiple species could be avoided. Hence, the answer is F. I hope you're able to understand. Explanations of the way of reproducing an extinct animal using the DNA. Only that species. So, way of reproducing an extinct animal using the DNA of only that species. So again, I go to the passage. So in the paragraph A, geneticist Ben Novak, so led researcher on ambitious project aims to bring the bird back to life through a process known as de-extinction. So the basic premise involving cloning technology to turn the DNA of extinct animals into a fertilized embryo, which is carried out by the nearest relative still in existence in this case. So the abandoned band-tailed pigeon before being born as a living, breathing animal. So here Ben Novak explains how to bring back the passenger pigeon back to life using the cloning method of DNA, isn't it? So I suggest the answer to be the paragraph A. Reference to a habitat which has suffered following the extinction of species. Again, a habitat that suffered following the extinction of species. So again, I go to the paragraph. So see these lines. Since the disappearance of this key species ecosystem in the eastern US has suffered, as the lack of disturbance caused by thousands of passenger pigeons wrecking trees and branches means there has been minimal need of regrowth. So here the key species is passenger pigeon. Stagnant means inactive. Hence the answer is D. Mention of exact point at which a particular species become extinct. So they are exact to the point. So again, I go to the passage. So see, this passenger pigeon's existence came to an end. Sadly, the passenger pigeon's existence came to an end on 1st September 1914 when the last living specimen died at Cincinnati Zoo. So here 1st September 1914 is the exact point last living specimen died. That is, a particular specimen become extinct. You understand? So I go with passage A. So next questions 18 to 22 complete the summary below, and here no more than two words from the passage for each answer. The Woolly Mammoth Revival Project. Professor George Church and his team are trying to identify the dash which enabled mammoths to live in the tundra. So here again, I take the keywords Professor George Church and his team. So again, I go to the passage. So George Church, professor at Harvard Medical School and leader of the Woolly Mammoth Revival Project, has been focusing on cold resistance. The main way in which they exist extinct woolly mammoth and its nearest living relative, the Asian elephant, differ. So, by pinpointing which genetic traits made it possible for mammoths to survive, the icy climate of tundra, the project goal is to return mammoth or a mammoth-like species to the area. So, here pinpointing is nothing but identifying. So, the answer is genetic traits. Yes, you understand? According to Church, introducing Asian elephants to the tundra would involve certain physical adaptations to minimize. So, introducing Asian elephants to the tundra would involve certain physical adaptations to minimize. To survive in the tundra, the species would need to have the mammoth-like features of thicker hair. So, again, I go to the passage. So, necessary adaptations would include smaller ears, thicker hair, and extra insulating fat for the purpose of reducing heat loss in the tundra and found in the tundra. Now, all the traits found in the new now extinct woolly mammoth. So necessary adaptations is to survive in the tundra. So we need to minimize the heat loss. So 19th one answer is heat loss. Again, smaller is reduced size. So the answer of 20th is years and 21 is extra is more insulating fat. So 19th would be heat loss. And to survive in the tundra, the species would need to have mammoth-like features of thick hair and reduced size is nothing but ears and more insulating fat. Repopulating the tundra with mammoths or Asian elephant or mammoth hybrids would also have an impact on the environment, which could help to reduce temperatures and decrease. So this is found in the last few lines of paragraph E. So this repopulation of tundra and boreal forest of Eurasia, North America with large mammals could also be a useful factor in reducing the carbon emissions. Elephant punch holes through snow and knock down trees. So carbon emissions is the answer. Reduce temperature and decrease the carbon emissions. And questions 23 to 26 is nothing but you have to match the statement with the correct person. So, and you may use any letter more than once. We are going to match the statement. So, the 23rd question is reintroducing an extinct species to its original habitat could improve the health of the particular species living there. So, again, I go to the paragraph. Paragraph B says this. So, here, Michael Archer of University of New South Wales. Decades since thylacine went extinct, there has been a spread of dangerously debilitating facial tumor syndrome. Threatens the existence of the Tasmanian devils, the island's other notorious resident. So, thylacines would have prevented the spread because they would have killed significant number of Tasmanian devils. The return of thylacines of Tasmania would help to ensure the devils are never again subjected to risk of this kind. So I go to the option B, Michael Archer. It is important to concentrate on the causes of an animal's extinction. So concentrate on the causes of animals extinction. So again, I go to the paragraph F. So explains Shapiro. What does she explain? She prefers to focus the debate on how this emerging technology could be used to fully understand why various species or went extinct in the first place. So focus the debate is concentrate on various species that went extinct, which means the cause of an animal extinction. So this is given by C. Beth Shapiro. A species brought back from extinction could have an important beneficial impact on vegetation of its habitat. So again, it's important beneficial impact on the vegetation of its habitat. So again, I go to the passage. Passage A. So passage D. So the disappearance of this key species of the ecosystem in the eastern US has suffered as the lack of disturbance is caused by thousands of passenger pigeons wrecking trees and branches. Means there has been minimal need of for regrowth. This had left forest stagnant and therefore unwelcoming to the plants and animals which evolved to help regenerate the forest after a disturbance. So according to Novak, a hybridized band-tailed pigeon with added nesting habits of a passenger pigeon could, in theory, re-establish their forest disturbance, thereby creating a habitat necessary for great many other native species to thrive. So these lines, Ben Novak suggests, due to the disturbance created in the forest by extinct species, plants usually used to grow better. Now, as many species have gone extinct, there is no need of regrowth of trees and branches. So the forests have become stagnant or inactive. If there is a chance of bringing back the passenger pigeon, that lost forest disturbance could return, which means that it will have an impact on the plants and animals. So it's on vegetation, that is given by Ben Novak. A. Option A. Our current efforts at preserving biodiversity are insufficient. So again, preserving biodiversity or insufficient. So this comes under very last paragraph F. So Beth Shapiro. So she says we know that what we are doing is not today is not enough, and we have to be willing to take some calculated and measured risk. So we are doing today is nothing but our current efforts are insufficient. So this is given by option C, Beth Shapiro. So I hope you understand the passage. So we'll meet up in the next passage. Thank you for your patience. Bye.